Hiya, Kyla. So we're back. Brilliant.
Hi.
So when we ended, you had mentioned like that slogan, ascension, for example, and not picking on that word or that concept, but hearing the word, this or that one has already ascended or is ascending, or the planet is ascending, or what we're going through is an evolution or a thising or a thating. So what my heart is longing for is for more and more of us within humanity to sit with one another in real time, even if it has to be also through a machine like we're doing, and in physical and geographical real time, the actual live living moment, as opposed to a concept of we're living in the now, we're living in the now. And why do I long for that so much? And it's because when I was, I think about 18, for whatever reason, I had stumbled across some I'd heard about the Mayan prophecy and the Hopi prophecy that said a time will come when things are going to go really tits up on this planet, and it's long overdue for it to go tits up, putting it into street talk. And what I loved most about stuff that I've looked into privately and quietly was, what they might have been called in the past the tribe, the village, the elders, where they sat together in real time and talked upon reality, like what is going on in the actual outer environment of the planet that one lives on, or within the, community one lives within. And it was, the key thing for me was about people coming together as equals with equal voices to speak upon reality, to sort it through in the smorgasbord of reality in which we live. So you mentioned to me just before we came on, how do we do this without it always seeming to turn into some sort of atmosphere of competition or hostility, where equal voices cannot speak out and equal voices cannot also be heard and listen to one another without it going into right, wrong, competing, higher, lower, da 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 da. So I'd love to hear what you feel about that, Kyla.
Well, one thing is, do you think that the amount of like division that's been given to us, the way we've been sort of like split off into all these individual, I care about this, I care about that, I care about that, but then I feel like with all those we've been given, whichever one it is,
Yeah,
the foundations what are necessary for human well-being are being overlooked.
yeah,
So I feel like because there's all these different various, well, I believe in this, I believe in that, whether it's just all the extra stuff, it's overshadowing the foundations. So
yeah.
I just think
What to
that's
you are
one
the
of the reasons.
foundations, Kyla? What to you, just to you, Kyla, what are the foundations as far as you're concerned?
Well, with what I can see, with what we need, and that is shelter that we're not having to be a slave to get. Yeah, you might have to build it, which we can do, but like not, paying to corrupt organizations for it. So shelter, obviously nourishment from food and water, that type of thing, what's unpoisoned, and obviously fresh, growing, all that stuff, normal stuff like that. And
Mm-hmm.
then obviously another big thing is nourishment from each other. And that's how
Yeah,
we help each other, like support each other. Like it's just the basics like that. So um that's how you just literally, it's like obviously the single parent, like obviously it's like the worst thing ever to try and do because you're on your own
yeah,
and you've got to do everything, including everything for that kid, and it's impossible. So we I feel like we're working against ourselves with these ideas, and not having, because of the money system again, which links back to the original part of the conversation, we just spinning around in circles, trying to make money, and the foundations are not getting a look in, which is why are we still paying to corrupt organisations for shelter when they're using that money for weaponry to go and fire at other countries and kill innocent men, women, and children? Why are we still doing that? Why are we having all our, you look on Backer Foods in Asda and stuff and all these big supermarkets, and it's got all sorts of chemicals, even in just a lemon. So why are we accepting that? So yeah, back to what we were saying, which was you basically just you were basically on about what's stopping us from talking. I think to each of our, just putting it on the table. God, it's such a deep topic, that, because it could be things like people so hurt from all trauma in their life, so they're so touchy and edgy and take everything personal. That's one. Maturity, because as you go on and that, you know, I mean, you can. So I know I didn't used to always be like this, be able to have this level of conversation and articulate myself at all. So I don't know if the word is maturity, but whatever. And I think those. So if you look at the COVID situation, it'd be hard to find a truther, what they call truthers, which were exposing the truth about the lies and the corruption. It would be hard to find a truther what could have a normal conversation with someone who's actively wanting to, have got in their mind, they want to protect their family, they want to take all 4 jabs. To get them to have a conversation, it takes a miracle. I mean, they don't. They just go against each other most of the time, in most cases, because they can't do it. They can't do it, and they can't do it.
So let's pause on that for a minute. I want to offer my working theory as to why that we can't, we or they or whatever, or majority of us can't do it or aren't doing it. And you and I have spoken about this in private, which is, you know, again, it's the psychological programming that one receives from birth, which of course is traumatic, because the psychological programming is kind of against the body, against the body wisdom and all the rest of it. But this is just small. But when I was listening to you there, I was feeling like, as of today, 2023, we have not yet been able to create spaces where we can actually listen and hear one another, let alone do the speaking bit. Do you know what I mean? Because it's this, you and I both, having been on a sort of musical path, know what that's like in terms of just sound, which is when you're making sound or delivering sound or giving sound, the people around you are receiving that sound, and you are too. So there's a receivership of something, and a listening and a hearing, and
naturally happening.
And you know, this could be a key sort of fertile thing for us to all start doing together, which is like, we all actually are born with the ability to hear sound, aren't we? And that's why some of us take, what would you call it, retreat or sanctuary in sound without words. So we can receive what things sound like, but it's like, can we hear one another? Can we hear what one another is saying without it going into the, you're wrong, you're missing the point, I don't agree with you, so your voice must be now crushed. It must be crushed, because you know, of course I find these programs in me from childhood. I'm not saying I didn't receive this programming from childhood. I did. And like many of us, doing my best to
trying to climb out in it.
Catch each one in the moment, don't play in it. Catch it, don't play in it, you know. So it's what, when we talk about that strange label, outsourcing. So even though I've said that, I can imagine loads of people would come at me and say, you can do that. You'd go to a therapist or a psychologist or a healer or a workshop or a something to be heard, or for you to hear someone else.
Oh, yeah.
I'm talking about, this is such a dire situation in 2023. We don't have the monopoly tokens to do that.
No.
It also doesn't work because it's keeping the whole system in place, which is, there's an expert here for that, there's an expert there for that, and you must always be the client or the one that's receiving like some more programming from another program slave, etc., etc. So, as I've said many times, I don't have solutions right now. I'm living my own solutions as best I can. But isn't this a start to sit with one
It is, yeah. I mean, you hear as well, like, what comes up in people when people like us are noticing these things in our life, and we're trying to talk about it and bring, which people are clearly pushed down. Like, people seem to, the system itself definitely doesn't want us to talk. And then other people, what are a product of that system, also enact that they don't want us to talk. And one of the lines what comes up is, well, yeah, all this talk about this, but where's solutions? Because they're so desperate for a solution.
Yeah.
We all do. What we're trying to say is, I just don't. I think that's just like a lack of respect for the process or understanding about how big this all is. Because some people do think I've got. I mean, they literally say, there's some out there. I mean, that say, I've got the solutions. They say that, right? And I just think to myself, I can tell you don't engage with a lot of different people out there, because you are just not in tune with where people are at. Because that solution, they're not even going to be able to reach that. Not to beat them, it's just where they are, that people are rigid now in terms of, I need to just go and make money and feed my kids, like anything at all costs. And then someone's going to come in and say, well, I've got this solution, sir, and it's this, as if people are just going to break and shatter all that rigid programming and jump to what one guy is saying.
I mean, that's really interesting what you're saying.
How are they going to reach? How is that the solution if you can't even reach the people?
Yeah, and I mean, this might be too obvious to say, but for decades there's been this online life via various online channels. I feel I came to it quite late, 2014. Maybe it isn't too late, I don't know. What is presented online is, I'm living the solution. I'm living the solution. We know that person is not living that solution, because nobody on planet Earth is living that solution. Nobody, because it's not set up this way. We're not supposed to live the solution. So
we can't do it individually either.
No, that's it. And it's like, I remember the first time I went onto an online channel, which was called Facebook, and it's because someone else had told me about it. And I was at home with my 2 young children, and I was feeling lonely, yes. So even though I was going out in my physical and geographical and attending to my children, I felt very unstimulated, because it's like, I don't want to talk about nappies and poos and whatever else is going on here. I need to be having conversations that are at the level that I need to be having them at, whether that sounds selfish or not. So the first time I saw the online channel and what people were posting about or saying, I felt in the depth of depression, because I couldn't tell whether what they were saying about themselves and their life was true or not, because it's coming through machine. So all I saw was people showing me how fucking amazing their life was, whether it was my musician colleagues from the music industry, like, I'm playing at the Wigmore, I'm doing this at the Carnegie, which was, like my former life before motherhood, or whether it was someone showing me their fasting and their amazing food growing, or someone talking about hemp houses or tiny houses or intentional communities, and everybody was telling someone on a machine, my life, me, me,
Yeah.
me, 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 my,
Yeah.
my life is fucking amazing. And here you go, let me tell you about it.
Yeah.
So this is a major problem.
Major. It's actually borderlining on insanity, because you can like portray, oh, online any day. And not only that, it's what it's doing is, I was on about this to myself today about the psychology of social media and what it's doing, and the endorphin rush it's giving you. Now, I know people, yes, they've got a lot of knowledge. Yes, they've been having a lot of knowledge for a lot of years. Yes, they've accomplished many things in terms of this, that, over fasting, whatever you want to call it. They're very knowledgeable of concepts, and that's just facts. They are. But what my question is for these people is like, then what? Because all I seem to be able to see from those that are suggesting that they've made it, they're higher, they're in some better position than everybody else because they've got knowledge or because they've got whatever. All I can see that they're managing to do with that is basically do what we're doing, point things out. So I do it. I point things out. I feel like that's one of the only things you've got left. This is happening. This is happening, because there's still loads of people what aren't aware yet fully that this is happening. So that's basically. But I'm not here pretending that I'm higher or than someone or blah blah blah. Yeah, I do understand the fact that at the end of the day, like with you, with your violin, at the end of the day, you've practiced violin for many years. You're very good at it. Somebody who hasn't been on one like me is not going to be that good at it. So we've all got things that like that, but you're not sat there saying, well, I can do that, so that's it. I have all solutions for the world and that's it. I feel like that's what the atmosphere that these people are trying to give off. Then some of them are charging for that knowledge, but at the end of the day, I know I might have said this earlier, but what are we doing with it? Like,
yeah,
yeah, that's the question for me. What next? Because yeah, you get to this stage, you get this knowledge, blah 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 blah. We know the problems, we know the solution, but what's next? And I don't feel like this whole thing online, portraying you've got all answers, portraying you've got all solutions, or portraying you're living the best life. How can anybody be living the best life when you've got, this is how I basically bring it to a simple sentence. How can everyone be living the best life when you are ruled by a seriously dangerous government, and all parts of the world are, whether it's India, America, here, wherever else there is, China, obviously, all the big places are under a net of just, we don't know what they are yet.
yeah,
we just see them appear on telly. They hide in the houses or underground, wherever they are, and that's what we've got to go on. And
yeah,
they hide that much that I was even saying to myself recently. I think I said to you as well. This game could be up quite easy because they're not showing themselves. They're not on. I mean, all with, because I say it like this, Sarah. How I say it is, the only thing holding this in place is police and army and any other arm at government. So you've got social services, NHS, all the rest of them. All of them are holding a certain standard of prison around everyone, even though it's disguised as a service for humanity. And there's, you know what I mean? But that's the, especially police and courts. They're an army. They're holding all this in place. If you don't pay your bills, your courts. If you don't, if you go out and kick off on the street about everything that's going on, police or medical system, they'll say, "Oh, it's time to section you." So I feel like, yeah, because because they're in place, it's keeping everyone stuck a bit. Yeah, so I don't know if I went off topic then, but it's
No,
all one.
I think it's worth just saying all these things out loud because it's like we're
Yeah.
identifying.
Yeah. So that's what I was saying, innit? I feel like what this thing about, looking online and seeing people that are suggesting that they've got it all. No, they've got knowledge of shit. And they've got knowledge, they have.
Yeah.
But then what do we do?
Yeah,
And
because we still don't live in a free world because of
yeah,
because of
because of
the
this
structures and systems that you've already
and
identified.
because of our, like, the people's everything they've already been through for a start, but also our sort of like devotion to him and connection. Like, we're stuck.
What do you mean by our devotion? You mean devotion to the systems like police,
Yeah, we
military, governments, corporations?
tolerate. Yeah, it's like we're married to him.
Yeah,
Like, if you pull away and you no longer get your benefit, even to just stop going on benefits and getting a job, it's like, oh my God, your whole body's like, what am I going to do without benefits? So it's
right.
that fear of letting go of him, which is so rigid. I don't think your ascended understand how that is. But then again, they haven't escaped it either. So
I think that's the point. I think that's the point. It's like, is it okay to say the system is still in place, and not only is it
yeah,
in place, but it's
yeah,
intensifying because
yeah,
of
into a
all the
digital
things you,
one.
yeah, all the things you've just detailed and identified as part of the monopoly game that I
Yeah,
sometimes like to call it, as well as the shopping mall or the prison planet or whatever.
yeah,
Um, since 2020, anyone who's noticed there's something afoot is also very concerned about, what is this new earth, new world that's coming into
New World Order.
visibility. Yeah, coming into visibility.
Mm.
How is it happening? Because this is just a back statement to contextualize. In 2005 is when I started rooting around in the power structures of this planet as best I could to see, like, why does it work like this? Because I'd always been obsessed with what is power, how do we use it, and why don't we have any?
Mm.
Why is that power? Why is that power sort of over there with the authorities? And
Mm.
when you said about the governments, Kyla, even in 2005, because I was looking as a hobby,
Mm.
doing a social science sort of dig around,
Mm.
it had was being already shown to me there isn't such a thing as a nation state. There isn't a national sovereign government. This is a myth as well that we have a national sovereign government because we've got corporations and entities and organizations that actually tell
Yeah.
these shop window things called the government what to do. They tell them, and then it's like going back, and who's running those organizations and who owns those organizations and who, like, really, and I can't answer this yet either. Who can? Who really are the players that are doing that from the top and this from the side and this from underneath so that we are, like you said, all of humanity in this, all of it. And like we've said already, many people are saying they are living the solution or a solution,
Mm.
and that's not real by my standards. No one is living the solution. Why
Mm.
can't we say this out loud?
That's it. Like, and we've said it today out loud.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just think I think people are probably a bit. I don't know what it is with us, but I think people are a bit scared to have it, to
Yeah.
say it or to feel it or to have to accept what we're accepting, because it is really difficult for us to accept. Well, it's
Yeah,
difficult
it
for
is.
us to carry this, knowing this stuff every day, because obviously it's a massive. Because a lot of people, like, humans need something to sort of like look forward to and
Yeah.
keep themselves active with, which is a normal thing to do, keep busy and do things. But I think when you know that when you identify, when you get to a place what we're at, where you've really been honest about the situation and you've identified the schools, total indoctrination camps, medical system, most staff brainwashed to follow Rockefeller's advice and
Yeah.
leave people in a worse state than they walked in, on the whole. Police working to protect the government, to protect the Queen and all that, royals and state itself, not us, as many people find out every day. And you start to identify all the jobs, just slaving around, making you away from your family, blah blah blah. So we've identified this, and I just think a lot of people can't face it. I really do, because I don't see why they would find it so hard to accept. And I think people's got this thing in their head where they need it to always have a positive spin on it. I don't know what's going on inside for them to always need everything that's spoke about to I mean, for you, Mauve, like, if we didn't have no positivity about us, how would we be here today?
Yeah.
What is something what's something that you're really positive about? Because if not, you would have, you wouldn't be here.
Yeah, well, I can honestly, obviously, I'm going to speak from my heart, which might be different sort of language to anyone else's. And isn't that the beauty of the diversity? Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
like, because we might get called, negative shit, always talking about government, this, that, other, the things that we see which are negative, but we're not necessarily negative people.
Definitely. I mean, yeah. What?
I'm just saying that out loud, because identifying. I'm not being funny. We have a great laugh. We are still funny. We have had you know what I mean? Like, done a lot in life and stuff like that. So
yeah, I mean, like you and I have a sense of humor that we play with together, because we know each other as well. But we took the time to know each other, and we keep flourishing and nurturing our friendship, relationship. I feel lucky, that you exist on the planet. I know quite a few people where I feel, thank fuck these people exist on planet Earth, human beings like me that can see XYZ, that don't want to play in power hierarchy. Obviously, for me, it's music and sound. And for me, it is classical music and sound. I don't need to re-manipulate myself to say, no, I like that. I like classical music. I'm sticking to it. I love it. That's it for me. I love doing, self-care, as in, breath work, moving my body, dancing, singing, sounding. Of course, I have consciously had to kind of push myself to commit to myself in that way to stay sane in these times, because I've always felt from childhood, I felt like a puppy dog. I'm ready to play and I want to play, but all I've ever encountered is the system telling me, you don't get to play, you don't get to be free, you don't get fuck all. And this, of course, I see as the ubiquitous picture. I see this as the kaleidoscopic whole. I've always seen the whole picture, like you've always seen the whole picture, Kyla. So I'm not going to betray myself in pretending that I only ever saw this much. I'm not going to betray myself, because I do not feel that that would be me contributing to what I like to call the liberation era. So I feel like charged, like highly charged, highly intense about wanting to contribute to this period we're going through as humanity. And that's nothing to do with money and nothing to do with anything. And it's like, I don't even need to play in those fucking fake concepts of whether I'm positive or negative. That pisses me off. It's like, yeah, I understand people might want to use those descriptors, and I'm not going to interfere with that, but I don't play them. I don't go, am I being a positive person or negative?
Yeah, exactly.
I have access to all the emotions I feel, which to me are the human ones.
Exactly.
Of course I feel joy. Of course I feel, peaceful. I also feel annoyed, disgusted. I've got, some stuff's funny. It's like,
and it's all right to have all them, and it's just, I'm just bringing that up because obviously we get a lot of people that, like, they just assume that we finger negative people, and it's just not the case. We're talking about, like, reality is what needs
Yeah.
need looking at, and that's it. It's very straightforward.
Kyla.
You what, sorry?
Totally. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like, it's worth saying that I know that all of us that have tried to bring our voices out online, and particularly because it's you and me speaking, and I want to talk about you, I'm seeing day in and day out people come in to try to close down your voice. And I'm seeing that happening to so many of us. Like, like they just want to close down your voice and make accusations like, you, Kyla, are being negative. You are the problem here. You need to shush. You need to, do da da da. And my question to humanity, and the one that I wrestle with the cosmos all the time, is it Kyla? Is it Morven? Is it someone else? Is it ours that run this planet and say, get your weapons out and start killing people? Is it ours that goes and says, burn down that village? Is it ours that says, burn down the trees? Is it ours that decided there should be a money system? Is it us that dictates what is going on this planet? Answer that first and then decide if you must play in what's positive and negative and what's toxic. Look there first without pointing your finger at someone like you and many others and saying, you need to shush.
Yeah.
Because you, Kyla, are not shushing, and nor am I. And
So,
you chose that.
yeah, exactly. And what am I gonna say? And also in terms of the being, oh, were you saying you've seen people try to shut me down online, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I've had it a right lot, but they don't usually last 2 minutes because I'm very, very, I don't know. I don't know what it is. I just don't, like you said, I've got my boundaries in place in it. Like I'm just like, fuck that. I don't like it. I don't like pushing my free will onto no one else. And I don't want like someone to do that to me, whether it's government or somebody online or someone in real life. So what would you say? Another thing. In fact, I'll just seeing as we're on about this, tell me something positive. So tell me something positive about me from you.
Oh, I'd love to. Let me get my book.
It ain't got long though, so you have to just
it's funny you started saying that because I felt like, I got to know you by accident because someone else had pointed you out to me. And I received so much from you, Kyla, because how I experience you as a human being is that you already have claimed your voice. You have already claimed your own mind. You have given yourself the self permission and the self allowing to be you in all your glory. And you always giving outwards, and you've got your boundaries in place. You don't abuse other people psychologically, mentally, physically, emotionally. You standing up for you as you. You never going to war with these people. But if someone oversteps like a sacred boundary, you will let them know in really fucking nice and delicate ways as well. And I've seen you give people chance after chance after chance. And then there's that moment where you say, actually, in this awful time we're going through, even a Facebook page has to be a boundary that's respected. This is my space. I am bringing out me. And you are generous with your time, Kyla. You are generous with everything you say. You don't do bypass. You and I are always talking about what lives within, and we share stuff, what's living within and without. You don't compete with people. You've been one of the best friends I could ever have hoped to meet. And we've only had a short relationship so far,
Oh,
I'm
thank you.
super grateful to know you.
That's beautiful, isn't it? And exactly like this is something that I'm really positive about. Like having a relationship like this, what me and you's got is I'm deeply positive about that. So I don't, you know what I mean? When people are putting this sort of thing on us, we've got things that money can't buy. You can't buy that. Even if you've got a lot of money, you can't say, well, I want a friend what's gonna be like this. And if I were gonna say something positive about you, I would say you're just like, I feel like you're like and what a real human would be like say we was it back right ages ago back in the day, like where they're just actually intact. Like, and I know you might feel like your life's all up show a lot of time because it's very difficult to deal with all this when everybody else has turned away.
Yeah.
But if they weren't turned away, you'll be thriving quite easily. And I just,
we'd all be
you remind me of like,
thriving.
yeah, you remind me of a human. What's actually are they meant to be? Like very like just naturally caring and nurturing and supportive of other people, and you're really out, but also like a trailblazer. You're proper powerful. You're one what's dropping all these different. You're bringing your voice out live on a video, not scripted, and you're talking about things no one will talk about. And so many people have been supported by you, I reckon, especially me. And I don't really find that much support anywhere. And you're not charging for it, you just do it.
Yeah.
So I just think I'm just so people don't know how happy I actually am in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But I'm not gonna share all that with people that are in attack mode with me all the time. So, but and another thing, and it's going to go off soon. Are we going back on for, or is that end of it?
I think we should just do the third little bit. We don't have to do a whole half hour, but yeah,
No,
let's
yeah,
check in.
just like 10, 20, 15 minutes or something. Because I've just got something that I want to state as well.
Yeah, I don't want to hurry you, Kyla. Yeah.
I didn't know how long we could be on. Should we state it? Should we go on to the next one?
Yeah, let's do that. So you don't feel hurried and I don't feel hurried.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. So we'll come in for part 3.
All right, see you in a
Right,
bit.
see you in a minute.
Bye.